All right, I have three integrals here, and each of these has radical, square, minus square, or radical, square, plus square. You're thinking, but Regis, 7 is not a perfect square. Remember, yes, 7 is the square root of 7 squared. So we can write 7 as radical 7 squared. So just like the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 7 is simply radical 7. So in each of these, we're going to draw the triangle. All right? Don't worry about the x squared, don't worry about the dx, just don't worry about whether it's numerator or denominator, it doesn't matter. Get the triangle labeled first, and then from there, everything's going to emerge. So here, this is subtraction. Whenever this is subtraction, the hypotenuse is the square root of this first term. Whenever this is subtraction, the hypotenuse is the square root of this first term. In this case, that's 2. Now, we need to label the vertical and the horizontal as much as possible, unless it's already spoken for, which it isn't. Make the variable vertical. Make the variable vertical. Well, the variable is not spoken for, so the variable is vertical. And then whatever's left over, well, if this is 2 and this is x, we need to have the radical somewhere. One common mistake students make is they try to label the radical in the triangle first. That's not the case. Label the hypotenuse first, no matter what it is. Label the label the vertical next, as much as possible, variable vertical. And then the horizontal is typically the last part. In this case, whatever's left over is, in fact, the radical. And so that triangle is correctly labeled. All right? This one, I think, should be straightforward. Maybe stop the video and check to see if you can get this triangle labeled. Okay, let's see if I can match your work. If this is square plus square, then the radical is the hypotenuse. Notice that when we're adding, the order doesn't matter. So this is 7 plus x squared. It's a crappy looking 7. So this is 7 plus x squared. When it's sum, the hypotenuse is the radical. Now, as much as possible, variable vertical, and then the horizontal is whatever's left over. We have either radical 7 or x. Radical 7 or x. Make the variable vertical, and the square root of 7. That's correctly labeled. And now we have pretty much same song, third stanza. In this case, we have subtraction, so the hypotenuse is not the radical. If it's subtraction, the hypotenuse is what is getting squared here. What's getting squared here is the 3x. Notice the variable is already spoken for, but we want as much variable as possible, so that means this needs to be the radical. And then whatever is left over, the square root of 1 is 1. All right? So, as much as possible, variable vertical. Label the hypotenuse first. As much variable as you can muster, make that the vertical part, and whatever's left over is the horizontal. So, if you can label the triangles correctly, then we can proceed from this. So make sure that is firmly nestled in your mind that you can understand how to label those triangles.